Welcome to this topic. The topic of the issue here is a spoken vocabulary used by elementary ESL and EFL learners. I'm Eileen Can. First of all, I need to introduce myself. Um, Now I'm a visiting scholar in UW Medicine, and before I came in here, I'm elementary school teachers especially focus on language teaching for 14 years. And I'm also a two young daughters mom. That experience gave me more chance to discover more possibility from different perspectives of education. And from Harmer and Angela's research, they mention about the second language learners need to master vocabulary skills to create English sentence. Therefore, the higher their mastery of the vocabulary skills, the clearer their sentence will be. So today I will go through the introduction, literature review, and my methods and results and the final discussion. Introduction. A 2019 American education study pointed out that the reading scores of the fourth grade of elementary school are lower than in 2017, and there is a gap in young learners' academic performance from non-mainstream cultural and linguistic minority backgrounds in the long run. And in EF classroom, young learners in Taiwan's elementary schools only learn the English in an EFL environment because they only have 1 to 2 hours of instruction per week in the public education system and have very little opportunity to practice the target language outside of school. And August claimed that to understand the target language with a limited time in the classroom, the vocabulary choices play key roles in developing a student language ability. And the language teachers also need to find the suitable teaching materials and methods to provide the students with clear and necessary guidance. They would need to ensure that the students who are struggling or lagging have the opportunity to keep up with others, while also allowing the advanced students to avoid language misusage in written and spoken English. And they began to add it to the research by comparing the relationship between the oral language and the reading comprehension in groups of children for whom English was a first and a second language. And for both language one and second language students, the oral language predict reading further. It supports the key role that oral language has in reading comprehension. And also, the Laurie and Matthew had reported the correlation of sight words and oral speaking in elementary school in LA, Los Angeles. And the participants involved in the research were 43 grade 2 pupils. They discussed the correlation between sight words vocabulary and their English listening and oral expression. They reported that the native speakers could have better listening and speaking ability if they learned more sight words vocabulary. So it reminds me, maybe there is a set of the high frequency spoken words in those classrooms. And I also want to find out more relationship evidence between spoken and written words. However, little research have focused on the spoken language development and academic words, examined the differences in English language learners' spoken vocabulary. So, the classroom observations were conducted in Taiwan and the United States between 2018 and 2020 to observe the spoken vocabulary of native English teachers and ESL EFL students during their English classroom interactions to answer the following research questions. The first one, what high frequency words are used in the young ESL EFL classroom? And number two, what is the overlap ratio of the EFL and ESL high frequency words and Dutch side words? And number three, what is the text coverage rate of the Dutch side words in young EFL ESL classrooms? Literature review. At first, we mentioned high-frequency words, and various research on high-frequency words focus on a large majority of the brilliant text. Two of the most common high-frequency words are Dutch side words and Free instant words for elementary school. And here, we focus on Dutch side words. And about the Corpus-based studies, they have the three special points that we should understand. The one is machine readable, and they should be representative of a particular language. And the third will be they must be authentic texts. So in this study, I collect the ESL and EFL students and teachers, their interactions in an English arts language classrooms. And many researchers mention that the beginning acquisition of the literacy requires linguistic knowledge such as language comprehension and spoken vocabulary. And moreover, the scoreboard proved that becoming a fluent reader is dependent on the spoken oral language ability. So in this study, I want to focus on the relationship between the spoken vocabulary and the sight words. Research methods. And in this research, I observe and collect the high frequency vocabularies among the conversation interactions of the teachers and the young learners in the classrooms. And I also define HFW as high frequency words. And I rank the top vocabularies that occur beyond 100 times from the spoken corpora in the study. Then I compared the spoken corpora with the Dutch side words to find out the spoken words lists for the ESL and EFL learners. That's what I called the spoken vocabulary in this study. And about this research participants in EFL classrooms, they possessed Mandarin as the first language and had been in English class for at least 2 years. And those students and teachers with the consent form, totally there were 19 pupils and two native English speaker teachers. And in ESL classrooms, the average age of the ESL students was 5 to 7 years old and had been in an English class for 0.6 years. And because of the COVID-19 crisis, I cannot go to the real classrooms to observe and collect the data. So I transfer to collect the data from the teaching channel, and I observed the 19 classes totally. And I record the conversations that occurred among the students and teachers during their English language arts classes. And I also use the speech notes and with the right set of comments to the speech to text engines, I could archive the results quantitatively, and I also use the wordsmith tool to help me to analyze the words in the corpora. Research results. And the above the process produced the two spoken language corpora from the EFL and ESL classrooms. And in these studies, high frequency words are considered to be words that appear in the context more than 100 times. So finally, I collected 6,772 words in EFL classrooms, and I also collected 4,883 words in ESL classrooms. And follow up the results and examination of the high frequency words in the EFL and ESL groups with the Dutch side words show an overlap rate of the 75%, and ESL high frequency words and side words showed an overlap of rate of the 71% here. And follow up the process, I find out the top 220 words to compare with the words that I collect in different classrooms. For example, in EFL classrooms, I find out 121 words here, and ESL classrooms, I find out and 160 words. I compare the Dutch side words and the EFL high frequency words. I find out that they have the 75% coverage. What happens in ESL classrooms, they all have the 71% overlap ratio. It's quite high, right? And the table 3, it showed that the coverage rate of the side words as the 41% in the EFL spoken covers and the 37% in the ESL spoken covers. From these pictures, we can see the EFL spoken covers has the 70,276 words. And compared with the side words, the results show that coverage rate of the side words at 41.04% in the EFL spoken covers. And continued, we also see the ESL spoken covers has 14,138 words, and compared with the side words, the results show that the coverage rate of the side words is 37.17% in the ESL spoken covers. Research discussion. And according to our first research questions, what HFWs are used in the young ESL and EFL classrooms? And from the finding in EFL and ESL spoken covers, the distribution of the content words using spoken language is similar to the results to us Tomasello in 2013. The content words do not need to be combined with being meaningful. Hence, they are easy to use in oral expressions and occupy the 72% in EFL and ESL spoken high frequency words. And the results, according to research question 2, um, it indicates that the sight words the teachers guide the students to read will affect their spoken performance in class. And compared with the Matthews in 2009's experiment in ESL classrooms, he find a significant relationship between the English spoken and listening proficiency and English sight words acquisition rate. And these results showed the sight words occupy 71% to 75% of spoken English in English language classrooms. And it provides direct evidence for the significant relationship between the English proficiency and sight words again. And for the third research questions, this finding showed that only 220 sight words can cover 37 to 41% of nearly 1 million words of the EFL and ESL corpora. So it emphasized the current significance of sight words in EFL and ESL classrooms, despite being published 1990 years ago. So generally speaking, young language learners use more of the sight words for their spoken expressions, especially in the EFL contexts. However, since the sight words originate from the written texts, the results of this study also highlight the similarities and differences between the written and the spoken English. And this study aimed to find out the spoken vocabulary of typically developing English beginning learners while participating in English as a foreign language or second language classrooms. The sample included children's spoken vocabulary who were learning English as a foreign language or second language, and the high frequency words in Dutch sight word lists. And this finding suggests that the spoken vocabulary is an important factor in sight word acquisition. Within the theoretical framework of the Hoover and Gold's simple view of reading, the sight word acquisition is one component of the decoding, and the spoken language is one facet of the linguistic comprehension. Therefore, the finding supports that there is an interaction between the two components of the reading process, decoding and linguistic comprehension. Also, the distribution of content words using spoken language is similar to the results of the Tomasello, and the content words do not need to be combined with being meaningful. Hence, they are easy to use in oral expression, especially for EFL learners, and occupied 72% in EFL spoken high frequency words. And while spoken vocabulary is crucial for language learning, the findings of this study indicate that a core vocabulary alone will not be sufficient to meet the communicative needs of the EFL and ESL students in typical school activities. They also acquire vocabulary that is reflective of their cultural interests, personalities, and contexts in which they interact. Thank you.
Wow! Finally, we finished this research and have very good results. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to write to me by Gmail or leave your message via the Facebook. And thank you again. See you next time. Bye bye.